Hopefully you caught the beginner tips, because now I'm going to tell you how to play MLB on DraftKings and FanDuel like a pro. It's part one of this advanced fantasy baseball series, and we're starting right now. What's up, guys? Joe Holka here. Welcome to another daily fantasy sports and betting video. If this is your first time here and you want to become a profitable DraftKings player and get better at betting, start now by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you click that notification bell so you don't miss anything along the way. If you're already a Holkamaniac, you know what to do. Smash that like button and we'll get started. Some sports, there's definitely certain positions where it makes sense to pay down, and I wanted to know if baseball was one of those sports. Let's talk a little bit about what you think is like more of like an optimal lineup construction for GPPs. Like, I think that the one-off thing, I'm with you. It's usually one side or the other, but is there specific positions where you get your salary relief? I guess we should probably talk about the SP2 on DraftKings a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of times you do want to use that SP2 to try to find some salary relief. And oftentimes you want that player to be, a little bit of a volatile option. In general, the easiest way and quickest way to assess starting pitching is you should be thinking about it in terms of projected strikeouts divided by salary spent. That is the quickest way to decipher whether that's a good player or not. Sometimes you'll run into players that aren't very good pitchers, but they can miss bats. Yeah. Guys like, I'm thinking like Chad Kuhl, or at points last year, like Tyler Glass now. Guys who might not work deep into the games, but if everything breaks right for them and they're priced in the 6Ks, you could get 7, 8, 9 strikeouts. And those guys, while they're not going to hit at a consistent rate because they have like wild, arsenals, they are guys that are often going to be, when they do hit, up near the top of GPPs. Robbie Ray was the guy that was consistently like that for a few years. Then he sort of became more the higher priced version as he honed his skills. But things like that are opportunities that you want to kind of take advantage of. Because strikeout per dollar spent is one of the easiest ways to like kind of build an upside in your lineups. And then other positions that I think you can find sources of salary relief on, it's a little bit different in the sense that there's some positions that, because there's not a lot of opportunity cost at the position, you can get out of that position with salary relief and not feel too bad about it. A lot of times that's a catcher spot. Sometimes it's a middle infield spot. But then a lot of times there's also value in terms of outfielders, because there might just be an outfielder who like moves around in terms of the lineup and gets a better lineup spot. So there's not necessarily just one way to play it in terms of the value that you're looking for from a positional basis. But I think for pitchers, it's pretty straightforward that you're looking for strikeouts per dollar spent.
Yeah, I'm with you on the pitcher side of thing, just because like I like to look at it. So like I don't really care if I lose in baseball for a couple of days. I don't really care if I lose in baseball for even a couple of weeks. Like if I'm playing baseball, I'm going to be playing it for the larger sample anyway. So I want those spikes from some of these cheaper SP2s, as you were saying. So I think that maybe attacking a little bit more, kind of range of outcomes on the higher end for some of those cheaper guys makes some sense from a strikeout perspective for sure.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is to get into a rut with, every day I'm going to punt my catcher and my shortstop.
Yeah.
And I get that question all the time, like, what position should I punt?
Yeah.
No, it's different every day. Like, don't settle into, catcher's the place to punt. Like, every day is different.
It was literally the most popular question I got on Twitter to ask you guys was, what positions do we punt? And my initial instinct was exactly what you just said. Like, every slate's going to be kind of different. Like, even in NFL, like, there's never, you can't get in the habit of just saying, I'm going to play a min-price tight end every single slate, because then you're just going to miss out on value that arises for sure in some of the better plays and better matchups. So,
just Joe, too, to cut in, I mean, with baseball, I mean, typically you have your power positions, first base, left field, third base. Those are typically the spots where, just because of the nature of the position, the guys who play the position, you're going to probably spend a little bit more money. It is definitely, of course, slate specific, but a lot of times you'll probably, if I had to venture a guess, you're probably going to pay down at shortstop a little bit. Just because, again, the nature of the position it's more of a defensive first position typically. We do have guys like Machado and Didi with the Yankees and guys like that. But shortstop's definitely, if I had like a pie chart of positions I paid down at last year, shortstop's probably up there. And as well as, especially on FanDuel, usually we get like some random 2K outfielder batting leadoff. So usually you can find some value there in one of your outfield spots. And it comes back to opportunity cost as well.
By the way, guys, if you've ever found value in any of my videos or live streams, one of the best ways you can support what I'm doing here for free is to give me the follow over on Twitter. And if you're new to the community, I also do a ton of content exclusive only to Instagram. So if you have a few seconds, make sure you go over there and give me the follow as well. We'd really appreciate it. So we spent a little bit of time on value already, but I want to dig a little bit deeper into the SP2, starting pitcher 2 over on DraftKings. So a lot of people have been saying that you need to pay down there, but I want to hear a little bit more about that before I totally go all in. Cool. So Derek, one of the other things I had kind of on our initial list here was just looking at some lineup construction stuff. And I know you're a big value guy. So is there typically like a position that you see more value in than others? Like places like NFL, a lot of times it makes sense to pay down at tight end, kind of embrace a little bit of variance there and pay up for running back. So is there kind of a lineup construction tip you would have for people as far as trying to find value in certain positions?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the slate, honestly.
Sure.
I guess the position that sticks out to me the most is your SP2 on DraftKings. That's the spot where you can play, your Jason Vargas's, or last year, pretty much the entire Marlins rotation was undervalued for most of the year. Caleb Smith and Pablo Lopez and Trevor Richards and Wei Yin Chen. Obviously, people caught on at some point. But like guys like that, when they're 5 or 6K in good matchups and they're projecting for like 15 points, like there's a ton of value there, and people are afraid to play them because they're like, oh, I need the safe pitching. I need to pay up for the floor. And like, I just don't really think it works that way anymore. And you look at what the sharp players are doing, and the sharp players are playing those plays.
It's easier to find a strikeout than it is to predict a double,
Sure.
Obviously. I would say more often than not, I find myself paying up for the ace pitcher, at least one of them. Usually you can find, like Derek says, you can find these nonsense cheap second pitchers. And sometimes, not even sometimes, probably more often than not, my build on DraftKings is something like a Scherzer and a Chen or a Vargas or some guy that just, you hope he goes 5 decent innings and doesn't kill you.
On DraftKings specifically, like how deep can we go at SP2? Like how thin can we get? Like are you more or less looking for guys that have like a larger range of outcomes when you get all the way down there? Like hopefully capture a little bit of ceiling over like the longer term and maybe take a little bit more chances?
Well, it's crazy to me because at SB2, like you could have a 4K guy and he goes for 10 points and everyone's bummed out. Like, oh, yo, you need 16 points to pay off and everything.
Sure.
So it's like, well, wait a minute. If you got a 4K hitter that had 10 points, you've been pretty happy with it, right? Like that wouldn't have been a big bust.
Yep.
So I think that if you just have to adjust your expectations, I think everyone's expectations for what your SB2 should return in terms of points is just way off. And you need to be comfortable with taking a 10 from your pitcher from some of these 4K guys sometimes. And it's like, how hard is it to get 10 points from a starting pitcher if the pitcher's decent? Not hard. So in general, I think punting SB2 makes sense. And I don't know why people don't do it more. Basically.
Yeah. I think it's kind of an interesting kind of discussion to have too, because it to me, it's more about like, where is if you're going to punt, like what does it do to the rest of your roster? Like what is this actually doing for me on this given slate? Before we get back at it, if you like my work and you want to support my work, the #1 way you can do so for free is by bookmarking my Amazon link. What a lot of people have been doing is just making it their homepage so they remember to use it in their day-to-day shopping, because what you buy literally doesn't matter at all. As long as you're using my link to get to Amazon, you're doing your part to support the channel. So let me know in the comments below if you decide to join the Amazon crew with everyone else. Be sure to give you a shout out on the next video. So how do players become actually mispriced? Like, it's easy to say all of these things, but in order to find value, a lot of sports, certain things have to happen, whether it's news. I'm sure that there's some sort of influence on that when it comes to baseball as well. I know a lot of people coming off of NBA. So that's kind of interesting. So as far as like the news aspect of things, like how do players in baseball like become like mispriced? Like it seems like projections are almost more sensitive in other sports based on news, like outside of like kind of like a late pitcher change. Like what kind of things even end up leading to value? We'll start there, I guess.
So the types of things would be players that, are normally reserve players that get, thrust into the lineup because somebody's getting a day off and they might be mispriced because they're reserve, or a player that, usually hits low in the lineup and now is hitting high in the lineup. That can kind of change their value because you talked about the value of extra plate appearances. If you go down a lineup, each lineup spot, as like a quick rule of thumb, each lineup spot is worth about 1/10 of a plate appearance.
Okay.
In terms of additional. So if you have a guy who usually hits 8th and now he's hitting leadoff, that's almost a full plate appearance more. It's 3/4 of a plate appearance more in terms of assumed projection. So that's real meaningful points, because every plate appearance for a hitter is positive expectation, because even the worst hitters in the league, they average, positive total points per plate appearance. So things like that can change. A pitching change where, a team might have been scheduled to face Justin Verlander, but he gets scratched, and now it's going to be, a random fifth starter from AAA or something like that. Those types of things can change stuff. And then other than that, I think early in the season, there's a lot of stuff with weather that is important, because early in the MLB season, you have such different climates from different regions of the country. Mm-hmm. And so like games in the Northeast or in the Midwest early in the season, when they're playing in temperatures in the high 30s, low 40s, those are just lower scoring environments on the whole, compared to like a Texas, where it might not be August in Texas where it's the hundreds, but it might be 70s or 80s. And it's a 30, 40 degree difference. The warmer the weather, generally the better the environment for hitting as a whole. So there's instances like that as well, where unusual weather patterns can create values. But in general, pricing keeps getting more and more efficient in these games. And you might not feel it necessarily in MLB because there's so much variance associated with it. But we, on our projection back testing, we noticed about a 3% improvement in R squared on, DraftKings pricing last year relative to performance.
Yeah, so there's definitely different factors that, aren't really being baked into the price. Like the umpire, of a given day isn't being baked into the price, especially because we don't even know it ahead of time a lot of times when the prices are being set, or which catcher is framing pitches behind the plate. Some teams have, one really good guy and one really poor guy, so you don't really know which one you're going to get, or that kind of thing.
Just a reminder, if you're looking to invest in yourself and take your game to the next level, I do offer one-on-one coaching. So if you want a little bit more information on that, make sure and head over to joeholka.com/coaching. If you prefer to learn in more of a group setting, that's totally fine. A lot of people don't even realize, though, if they have an Amazon Prime account, which a lot of people do these days, they automatically have access to a Twitch Prime subscription. So with that subscription, you get access to our premium Discord chat, as well as a bunch of other subscriber-only perks. Regardless, guys, I've said it before, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not heading over to the live streams over on Twitch. So make sure you're following me at twitch.tv/JoeHolka so you don't miss anything. So the way the DFS landscape is these days, pricing is just getting more and more efficient. What I was curious about is, do park shifts affect pricing, and have the sites done a good job at adjusting from there? Got different kind of fields, different stadiums. Like I would imagine, like you mentioned, that the pricing has gotten sharper over recent years. Like everyone knows, like Coors Field, like those guys are going to be priced up. But have you seen the pricing see a significant movement for weather, significant movement for different park shifts? Is that something that's changed? I feel like originally it wasn't that kind of correlated.
Yeah, I think it's gotten better on park shifts in general. So you won't get like a situation where you'd have, a team like the Dodgers who play in a really tough hitting environment, but then they go on the road and they're still priced like they were at home. You don't see that as much anymore. So I think, park shifts in terms of expectation have changed with pricing. One other thing that I did not mention that can have an impact, sometimes it's overstated, but in terms of delivering value, is umpire assignments as well. That's one of the other things that, changes in MLB, and umpires have a more direct hand in the results of the game in MLB than they do in NBA or NFL, because they're calling every pitch. And every change in account has an impact in terms of the expectations. So that's another one. But yeah, I think those are some of the scenarios where you can see price opportunities early in the season, taking advantage of weather. A lot of that stuff is built into Vegas totals. So if you're just kind of looking for like quick ways to access information on better hitting environments, you'll see that mostly in Vegas totals. But you'll see like early in the season totals in Chicago, where early in the season usually it plays very cold. It usually plays very pitcher friendly. You'll get 6.5s, you'll get 7s, and then in the summer when it's warm and the wind's blowing out, you'll get 13s and 14s and different things. And so you don't have that effect in any other sport where the weather can have such a robust impact on the overall scoring environment.
So if you didn't check out the first video in this series, it's not just for beginners, by the way. We talked a little bit about how it's important to target power hitters in MLB DFS. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into base stealers. So base stealers is something that I would assume have a ton of value in MLB, but it's probably a little bit more difficult to peg. But there's got to be those elite guys that steal a lot of bases. Is that usually baked into their price? Like, how do you kind of approach the base stealer side of the scoring as well?
Yeah, so we implemented last year a part of our projections that take into account pitcher and catcher in terms of the opposing base stealers. That has helped improve some accuracy on stolen base projections. But it's always difficult because, to get a stolen base opportunity, you not only have to get on base, but you have to get on base and not have somebody directly on the base in front of you. And so it's difficult to project when those opportunities are going to come up. They're not as frequent as, say, the number of plate appearances you're going to get in a given game. So when we're talking about like small number of opportunities for hitters as a whole, where we're talking about maybe they'll get 4.5, 5 opportunities. When you're talking about base stealers, you're talking about, maybe you're hoping to get 2. Like it's harder to project from that perspective. Their price can fluctuate when, they're going through streaks where they're, happen to be getting those opportunities, or they happen to not be getting those opportunities. And so, as with all DFS sports, you want to try to take advantage of price opportunities. But for us, because MLB is so like stacking oriented, a lot of times it'll come down to, do we see a team that has a number of base stealers on it that are facing a pitcher that's slow to home plate or a catcher that struggles to throw out runners? Because then you can get like the double steal equity when multiple guys will kind of be willing to go at the same time, and that can boost upside profiles as well.
Yeah, I never really thought about the catcher aspect of it, but I would assume that, that makes a lot of sense, that that'd be really big as far as like also targeting pitchers who walk batters. Hopefully that gives you some more opportunity there too. If you want to learn more about how to become a profitable daily fantasy sports player and how to get better at betting, start now by hitting that subscribe button in the right-hand corner so you don't miss anything. Have a ton of DFS courses on demand for other sports as well, so be sure and check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.